Alright, we'll start today with 3000 Duel, which is a really gritty and dark Metroidvania for one player. It has a roughly 1.2 gig download and offers dozens of hours of gameplay. The sound design along with the art and animations really do make the game stand out from the rest of the games in the genre, and the boss battles are a lot of fun as well. The combat is fast and fluid with tight and responsive controls, which makes the game a joy to play through, and right now you can pick it up for just $4.49, marked down 70%, matching an all-time low until the first. Up next we have Arise, A Simple Story, the Definitive Edition, which is a narrative-driven puzzle-style adventure game with a download around 3.7 gigs, and the main story should take players roughly 5 to 6 hours to wrap up. Now in this one we relive the memories of an old man coming to the end of his road, and it has a cool time-based mechanic where you can manipulate the flow of time to alter your surroundings. Now you'll have to use this to solve puzzles along the way. It's a pretty emotional game, and right now it's on sale for just $2.99, marked down 85% to a brand new low, and the deal ends on September 6th. Belle Boomerang is a game I first saw on our friend Slanko's channel. It's a 2D platformer that feels like it could have been released for the original NES. Now the attention to detail and the art and animation is top tier, and the soundtrack rivals some of the best NES games as well. The controls feel tight and responsive, and the combat starts off simple with our main character adding additional abilities to her moveset as we play through. Now there is a difficulty option for those that find the default difficulty a bit too tough, and right now you can pick it up again for just $3.99 with a download around 120 megabytes, and it offers about 5 to 6 hours of gameplay. Be sure to pick it up before the deal ends on the 29th. Up next we have Blossom Tales The Sleeping King, which is a Zelda-like single-player top-down adventure title with a download around 440 megabytes, and the story should last about 10 hours or so to wrap up. Now the world is large and explorable, the dungeons and combat feel like you'd expect with familiar-looking locations and recognizable gadgets, and the game knows this, so they never take themselves too seriously. It has a gorgeous and colorful presentation with music that fits perfectly for the genre, and right now you can pick it up for just $3.74, marked down 75%, again matching an all-time low until the 13th. Brave Soldier: Invasion of Cyborgs is a single-player 2D platform shooter with a download around 50 megabytes, and the game offers 30 fun and challenging levels to blast your way through. The level variation is pretty nice, and as you play through you'll find upgrades for your weapons, and they can be pretty devastating, so you want to make sure that you don't lose them. The retro look and sound fit really well, and again the game runs great here on the console. It's on sale for just $3.49, marked down 30% until the 1st, bringing it down to a new low. Clash Force is a single-player 2D arcade-style platformer with a small download around 50 megabytes, and while the main game mode is only about an hour long, it is a game that you can play over and over, plus it has 3 playable characters for a bit of variety as well. It features an auto-fire button, so you won't have to worry about icing down your thumbs after a game session, and that's always appreciated. And there's a difficulty slider which does alter the game quite a bit, so if you find it a bit too hard, you can play around with that and it should help out. Now the game will save your progress, however you'll lose any weapon upgrades that you've acquired when you hop back in later. It's another game that has that really retro feel, and if you're interested you can pick it up for just $1.99, marked down 60%, again matching an all-time low until the 30th. Next we have Cosmos Bit, which is a single-player platform adventure title, and this one has an incredibly retro look just like our last game. In fact, the main character reminded me a little of the dude from Air Fortress from back on the original Nintendo. Even the sound effects they use in the game really hit that nostalgic itch as well, and at its core it's a Metroidvania that takes about 3 or 4 hours to wrap up. The game offers a wide variety of cool locations and different weapons with special items that you can find, and many of these will be needed to blow up a wall or traverse to a different area that you couldn't reach before. And even if the game does look pretty simple, it can be a bit challenging, especially on some of the boss battles. Right now you can pick it up for just $1.99, again marked down 60%, and the deal ends on the 30th. Cloud Gardens is a relaxing 3D puzzle game that offers the player a unique experience not found in many other indie games. There really isn't much of a main story, but you're given a path to follow through each of the individual puzzles or environments, and there is a creative mode that allows you to decorate and have some fun on your own time. Now your goal is to solve each puzzle while growing plants and setting up items around them in order to help them grow. The soundtrack is incredibly relaxing, and it's the perfect game to play before bed. There are more than 50 levels, and the download comes in at around 630 megabytes, and right now you can pick it up at a new low of just $4.99, marked down 70% until the 30th. Darkwater Slime Invader is a single-player action platformer with a download around 1.3 gigs and should offer roughly 3 to 5 hours of gameplay on average. Now the art design is beautiful and it has that unique water paint type of look to it. On top of that, the movement and controls feel great and the combat is very satisfying. In this one, we play as a family duo with the grandma having her own special abilities as well as the younger granddaughter, but both can be combined as well to clear obstacles that might be in the way. It has an all-original soundtrack that was outstanding as well, and right now it's on sale for just $224, again brought down to a new low, and the deal ends on September 9th. Depth of Extinction is a game that's similar to Mario plus Rabbids or XCOM if you're familiar with those. It has strategic turn-based combat scenarios. It's a very fun and addictive gameplay loop with a retro aesthetic. It runs really well here on the console. Now it does have a small download just under 600 megabytes, and while the story is somewhat lacking, again they nailed the combat and I think fans of the genre will feel right at home, and it's the right price. If you're interested in Depth of Extinction, be sure to grab it up before the deal ends on the 30th. It's marked down 78% to just $329, bringing it to a new low, and this is a game I think you should definitely check out. Donut Dodo is a retro-inspired arcade-style platformer where your goal of each level is simple, but achieving that goal can become quite challenging. Now we play as a baker named Billy, and the game offers 5 different levels, each a single screen, and they all have their own unique gimmick, so you may end up spending some time in each level before you complete them. The chiptune soundtrack is top tier, and the game does have online leaderboards, so you can track how you stack up if you're into that sort of thing. They went with a 16-bit look, and again I think they did a great job. And right now you can pick it up for just $249, marked down to half price, bringing it to a new low, and the deal ends on September 7th. You'll need about 110 megabytes for the install. Down in Bermuda is a single-player puzzle-style adventure game with a download around 850 megabytes, and it offers roughly 2 to 3 hours of main story gameplay, and it's centered around a lost pilot named Milton as he tries to solve each of the different puzzles on these different islands in order to make his way back home. Now this is one of the lesser known games on the list, and it is a bit of a hidden gem if you're into the genre, and right now you can pick it up for just $199, marked down 90%, again matching an all-time low until the 11th of September. Next we have Dungeon Limbus, which is a single-player strategy RPG with a download around 375 megabytes, and it offers a ton of replay value as it's a roguelike, and naturally you're meant to die over and over while leveling up your character in order to push a bit further into the story. In this one you'll venture into the dungeons and kill creatures, and then of course loot everything while having to manage your town when you're not out adventuring. The maps are randomized to keep things fresh, and of course the boss battles were a highlight for me, and right now you can pick up Dungeon Limbus for just $299, marked down 80% with the deal ending on the 9th, again a brand new low. Up next we have Glyph, which is a single-player puzzle-style adventure game with a download around 2.5 gigs, and it offers roughly 2 to 6 hours of main story gameplay, but the replay value is through the roof as you'll have over 80 different challenging levels, plus a ton of bonus stages tied to the different game modes like speedruns or time trials. It's definitely tough, but it rewards you for pushing through, and right now it's on sale for just $199, marked down 80% and matching an all-time low until the 31st. Make sure to check this one out. Islanders is a single-player strategy game where we travel to different islands and try to build the best cities that we can, using the resources that we find on each to maximize the points that we can earn. Now the islands are procedurally generated to help with replay value, and what I really enjoy about the game is that placement of each structure is really something that should be planned out, as you need to score enough points in order to continue and progress through to the next one. On top of that, if you do happen to lose, you'll be sent all the way back to the beginning to start over. It's not that it's really all that tough, honestly, but by the end of the game it can pose a bit of a challenge for some, and right now you can pick it up for just $250, marked down to half price with the deal ending on the 30th, bringing it to a new low, and you'll need about 230 megabytes for the install. Kero Blaster is a single-player retro shooter that has a roughly 80 megabyte download and offers about 5 to 6 hours of gameplay on average. Now the game has a mechanic where every time you die you're transported back to the hospital, and basically you can upgrade and become stronger and stronger for the next run. Now as you blast through the enemies and bosses in each stage, you'll earn money that you can then use to buy upgrades or stat bonuses. It has a pretty comedic story as well to add a little bit of depth, and if you're interested in Kero Blaster, be sure to pick it up before the deal ends on the 10th. It's marked down 70% to just $299. Next we have The Last Campfire, which is a gorgeous puzzle-style adventure game offering roughly 6 hours of gameplay on average, and the download comes in around 2.5 gigs. Now the story is incredibly emotional and it really grips you in, so don't be surprised if you end up finishing the entire game in one playthrough. There's no combat, just light exploration and puzzle solving, so it's a relaxing experience as well, with a beautiful art design and great music. If you're interested in The Last Campfire, make sure to grab it up before the deal ends on the 6th. It's marked down 80% to just $2.99. Lost Castle is a fun roguelike here on the Switch with a cartoonish look, and it features both online and local co-op, making it a great value if you want something fun to play with some friends. It has a download around 850 megabytes and offers more than 30 hours of gameplay, and the online has always worked perfectly for the crew whenever we tried to play together. Now when you start the game, you're given a few different weapon options, and then you can customize your character as well, which is pretty cool, and the gameplay is a blast with fun combat and cool and unique bosses. It is incredibly difficult, so be prepared to get whooped up on for a while before you start to dish it back, but there are a ton of cool weapons and armor that you can find while you're playing through, and right now it's on sale again for just $1.99, marked down 80% until the 3rd, matching an all-time low. Next we have Oceanhorn Monster of Uncharted Seas, which is a single-player action-adventure title that looks and plays very similar to older Zelda games from the N64 or GameCube days. It has a download around 500 megabytes and the story should last about 10 to 12 hours to wrap up. Now along the way there are environmental puzzles to solve, new items and gadgets to find, and the combat feels just like those Zelda games that I mentioned a second ago. It looks gorgeous here on the console and runs buttery smooth. The soundtrack is top tier as well, and right now you can pick it up for just $374, marked down 75% and matching an all-time low until the 14th. RICO is a first-person roguelike shooter that features online co-op for 2 people, and again I personally tested the online and it works great. The game has tight and responsive controls and does feature motion aiming if you like that kind of thing, and it plays a lot like Payday if you remember those games. In each different level you'll have set missions that you have to complete, and then you move on while trying not to get shot, of course. If you do happen to fail a mission though, it will send you back to the beginning and then you start a new path. If you're interested in RICO, right now it's on sale for just $3.99, marked down 80%, and the deal ends on the 5th. Just keep in mind that you'll need around 5 gigs for the install. Up next we have Rogue Heroes Ruins of Tasos, which is a top-down adventure game, again that plays a lot like classic top-down Zelda titles from the 90s. It has a download around 1.8 gigs and offers nearly 20 hours of main story gameplay on average, plus you have the ability to team up with 3 other people online and play the entire game together. In addition to all of that, there's a town building system that adds even more depth to an already content-filled game, and right now you can pick it up for just $4.99, marked down 75% with the deal ending on the 2nd, again an all-time low. Sublevel 0 Redux, it's a one-player space shooter roguelike with a ton of content to keep you coming back, and the download comes in just over 700 megabytes. Now the game puts us in the cockpit of a futuristic gunship and lets us blast our way through zero-gravity levels that are procedurally generated. You have weapon upgrades and other cool items that you can find as well, and this version includes all of the bonus content packaged in for one low price. Right now you can pick it up for just $1.99, marked down nearly 90%, and the deal ends on the 30th. Again, this is definitely a hidden gem. Wandersong is a very unique 2D platformer where music can be used as both a tool and a weapon. The musical moments act like a minigame of sorts, and the way they implemented it into the story and gameplay is great. In this one we play as a young bard tasked with putting an end to an invasion of ghosts in our hometown, and it offers more than 10 hours of gameplay with gorgeous colorful environments and memorable characters, making it a great value whenever you can catch it on sale. Right now it's marked back down to $4.99, matching an all-time low, with the deal ending on the 3rd, and the download comes in around 2.3 gigs. Within the Blade is an incredible 2D action platformer that prioritizes fun combat and fast gameplay. It has a download under 200 megabytes and offers maybe 10 hours of gameplay with multiple difficulty settings which range from hard to insanely difficult. The good news though is that it has tight and responsive controls, the art and animations are all done very well, and you even have a crafting system in place with a ton of recipes that will help out along your journey. There are a few other RPG-like mechanics thrown into the mix, and I would highly recommend you check this out if you haven't played yet. Right now it's on sale for just $3.29, marked down 70% and matching an all-time low until the 30th. ANIMUS Revenant, which is a single-player action RPG with an isometric view, and that was a change to the series as the first 2 featured an over-the-shoulder view. It has a download around 2.5 gigs and offers between 25 and 50 hours of gameplay on average. The game does have that Souls-like feel to it with tactical stamina-based combat that can get pretty intense, and you'll have to craft or upgrade items to improve your stats, and getting to know all of the in-game mechanics will be required to take on some of the tougher bosses near the end. This is one of the better deals this week, and right now you can pick it up for just $4.59, finally dropping under $5 for the first time, marked down 80%, and the deal ends on September 9th. Curious Expedition, which is a single-player top-down roguelike set in the 1800s. It offers players almost unlimited replay value, and the download comes in at just under 500 megabytes. The maps are incredibly detailed and offer a wide variety of environments, plus they're procedurally generated, so each playthrough will alter a bit from the last. Now you'll be playing as a party searching for loot and the fame that comes with it. The game can be quite challenging at times, and if you're a fan of historical events, this is a great pickup for you. It puts a heavy emphasis on exploration, of course, and right now you can pick it up for just $3.74, marked down 75% to a new low, and the deal ends on the 5th.